everyone. My name is Juan Martinez. Welcome to the last week of our course. Today I'll be discussing cloud-based ERP and on-premise ERP. Hopefully at the end of this presentation you have a good understanding of the pros and cons of each implementation and which might be a better solution for your company. The topic of discussion is, what are some of the advantages, disadvantages of cloud-based ERP and on-premise ERP? Before we dive in the pros and cons, let's first discuss the three main categories of cloud computing. Per our reading SAP 2014, Reaching for the Cloud, the case study discusses three service models that I'll quickly touch on. Software as a service. This is the service model that we're most interested in regarding a cloud-based ERP. This is the most common type of cloud service. This enables customers to use applications that are stored and managed by a provider's cloud infrastructure. The consumer of the software does not have the responsibility of maintaining or operating the cloud infrastructure and can access the software from a variety of client platforms. Platform as a service. This capability of platform as a service enables customers to deploy onto the cloud infrastructure consumer-created acquired applications created using programming languages, libraries, services, and tools supported by the provider. Similar to SaaS, in that they do not operate or manage the underlying cloud infrastructure. However, consumers control the actual applications deployed on the infrastructure. And last, infrastructure as a service. This service model allows customers to provision processing, storage, networks, and other fundamental computing resources where the consumer is able to deploy and run arbitrary software, which can include operating systems and applications. Similar to the other model services, consumers do not operate or manage the underlying cloud infrastructure, but control the operating system, storage, and application. So what is cloud-based ERP? What.com defines it as an approach to enterprise resource planning that makes use of cloud computing platforms and services to provide a business with more flexible business process transformation. Now let's talk about some of the advantages of cloud-based enterprise resource planning. Lower upfront costs. The part of the upfront cost that is mainly reduced includes expenses for hardware, user licenses, implementation, IT staff, cost, and efforts. Host maintains IT infrastructure. Maintenance, upgrades, configurations are managed by the vendor. Scalability, highly elastic, rapid resource elasticity of cloud-based ERP, easy integration with cloud services, using the benefits of SaaS shared infrastructure. Companies that have adopted cloud-based ERP may get relatively inexpensive integration with other cloud services once the respective cloud provider has integrated their infrastructure. Improve system availability and disaster recovery. Most SaaS providers ensure measures such as a backup routine, fallback, and recovery procedures. Let's discuss the cons of cloud-based enterprise resource planning implementation. Subscription expenses. Periodic subscription fees that will most likely not depreciate over time, in contrast to capital investment in traditional ERP software. Security risk. Probably the highest concern about cloud-based ERP. Vendor is responsible for handling the security of your data. Data can be breached. Performance risk. Reliability and speed of network. Outage risk and data transfer limitations. Customization and integration limitations. Constraints on interoperability with homegrown applications and integration. Cloud-based ERP may not allow extensive customization and complex integration with some third-party services. Compliance risk. Vendors might not comply with customer data standards. SLA issues. SLA might not cover all aspects of confidentiality and integrity, leaving room for unclear damage liability. Dependency on vendor. You will need to depend on the vendor for availability of your ERP system. Coordinating upgrades, changes with vendors. This might happen during the busiest time of your company's business. Pros of on-premise ERP. Control and flexibility. It's yours and it's in your building. You can control the infrastructure of your system. Lower long-term costs. You have the flexibility of using the same hardware until you want to change it. Data control. Companies might potentially have sensitive data and they might have rigorous data standards. And lastly, no dependency on vendor. Everything is overseen by the IT staff. The cons of on-premise ERP: large upfront costs, especially if the infrastructure does not exist. We need to invest in software, hardware, servers, and a facility. You need a dedicated IT group to oversee management. You need a dedicated group to oversee maintenance, upgrades, and releases of your ERP system.